Hello and welcome to episode 2 of the Next Stop Josh podcast with your host, Josh McDonald. Today I'm joined by Tim Cunningham. Now, Tim has done a lot of things in his kind of more recent years, so I think it's probably best actually rather than giving an introduction, I'll actually let Tim introduce himself because he'll probably explain it a lot better than I will. So, Tim, welcome to the show.
Hello, no, thank you for having me.
I think probably you've done quite a lot within your last, I want to say maybe 5-6 years. I'll let you kind of more introduce yourself as a whole rather than me try and do it and end up butchering it completely.
Yeah, no, that's fine. My name's Tim. I currently live in kind of southwest of England. I kind of found that aviation's been quite a big part of my life. I'd say for the last, 10 years. Kind of usually as it does with young kids. Kind of started with air cadets. So did that over in Thornbury. Kind of found that I'd do kind of anything and everything that they did. And then that kind of brought me along to my, what did I do? So I did my solo gliding endorsement. I got a scholarship through who was it? It was with the Bristol and Gloucester Gliding Club at Nympsfield. Did a scholarship with them. I think it was something like 40 hours of instructional flying, and then that kind of got you down to your solo endorsement. So that's kind of where I really started flying, get into aviation, and then obviously went and did school, A-levels, which, to be fair, I was far too focused on playing rugby when I was at college. I really didn't pay too much attention to my A-levels, which, later on down the line did kind of shoot me in the foot a little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, and it kind of, I'm sure many people who've done A-levels know that, they weren't the easiest of the time. I found them much harder than my degree. And then from doing A-levels, I kind of knew that from the time that I'd spent in the Air Cadets, and from flying, that aviation was really something that I wanted to go to. I was quite fortunate that I think that I had that direction from young, because you see some people who they're just like, I just don't know what to do. So I know I was quite fortunate in that sense. And then went to Buxton Uni in High Wycombe. They do a really good air transport degree. So it basically encompasses different kind of facets of aviation. So you do finance and economics, environmental sustainability, airline management, airport management, and more so to kind of the commercial side. And then whilst I was there, so the course is called Air Transport with Private Pilots Training. So it's fortunate it's a BSc. So what makes it that is within the first 2 years you need to have done your private pilot's license. So that's the 9 PPL exams plus the minimum of 45 hours instruction. 45 hours combined hours. That pushed it over to a BSc. So it's quite nice to get that over a BA. And then, whilst I was at uni, did the University Air Squadron. So that was with OUS at RAF Benton. An absolutely incredible kind of way that the RAF really helped their recruitment drive in that sense. The way that I always thought it was just like the Air Cadets, but for uni students, and you got to drink. So not that was all we did, but it was brilliant.
It's
And
definitely
then
helped though, doesn't it?
yeah, for sure. I mean, some of the opportunities that I'm sure we'll come on to a bit later that we got to do in the University Air Squadron was, second to none, really. Especially in terms of career progression, not just within aviation, but kind of any sector, really. It's kind of those core competency skills that you need.
Yeah.
And then from there, what did I do after that? Graduated. So I graduated with a first class degree in that, and then came home back to where I live, kind of in between Bristol and Gloucester, and saw that the company where I work now. So I work for a company called Western Aviation. We are it's almost like a business aviation ground services. I always find it really difficult to kind of clarify what we actually do in kind of layman's terms, rather than saying, we have a network of 5 FBOs and 3 partner FBOs under our brand. And the way that I like to say it is we're a mini Terminal 2, Terminal 5 for business aviation passengers, in effect. So we have a hangar, we have like an FBO lounge, and then we do all like the booking of slots, catering requests, ground transport to the actual ground handling of the aircraft, so marshalling to stand, parking, dealing with the passengers in and out, what we call HBR, so that's hold baggage reconciliation. Basically, when you get like a bag tag on your bag, that, so making sure everything's being screened for certain kind of clarifying, well, not clarifying, what do you say? Qualifying,
The
that
usual
one.
kind of,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
usual kind of
for
stuff that they
qualifying
look for.
flights. And again, I was really lucky. 8 months into joining, as just so we call them flight supports. So as a flight support executive, my manager left and went to Australia, so I took over the management of the base. I've been doing that, gosh, about 15 months or so. It was actually 2 years. I joined the company 2 weeks ago.
Oh, that's
So
mad.
yeah, and from there, I just kind of followed the attitude of just get involved with stuff. So that's where I got involved with the Air Charter Association and the Next Generation Group. That's a lot of the kind of inter-industry
Mhm.
work with. Just, we kind of find that not many people really, even within aviation, kind of understand the private business aviation side. So we just help getting young people into aviation through, we attend shows, we go and do guest lectures and talks at universities, and we run an internship scheme. So yeah, I say
Yeah.
that's a little bit, or a lot of it
It's
about me.
very, very in depth, to be fair. I know from my personal experience, like obviously I live in Newcastle now, and I live 5 minutes away from the airport, and they've got like a private jet terminal there, so I do see them time to time. But I couldn't, as your normal like Tom, Dick, and Harry, couldn't tell you anything about
Mm.
private aviation or anything like that. It's not something that I can't say I'm clued up to. But what something that really struck out to me is obviously your air transport degree isn't a subject that most people really know exists. Like I know personally, I don't know exists the first time until obviously we kind of started talking that I like knew this was actually a thing. A lot of people kind of when they go on holiday, they're only really interested in like getting on a plane where they're going to Ibiza, Mallorca, Tenerife, wherever, or in the winter they're going on their Christmas holidays, whatever. But in terms of your degree became actually what sounds a lot was a big launch pad into your career. Um, what even though made you kind of go towards private aviation is I know I've attended a British Airways Open Day for their roadshow they do with pilots and that. What made you kind of go towards more private rather than when you said you obviously were going to go potentially look into the RAF as well? What kind of made you go into that sector? Because it's quite like a niche sector.
Complete accident.
Yeah.
Literally, it was proximity to where I work at Gloucester Airport. I was literally the same. Very little throughout our whole degree is focused towards private or business aviation, which
Mhm.
I think is quite a shame, to be honest. I don't think people necessarily realise how important it is for, well, I mean, the UK economy, UK businesses. It produces. I think one of the things that really stood out to me about it was, I can't remember the exact figure, but it's something like 75 or 80% of all private flights, so
Mm.
non-scheduled aviation, is business. It's not this perception that it's, your rich people going on holiday. Whilst
Mhm.
obviously that
Yeah.
happens, a lot of it is business driven. If you need So a really good example of that is Specsavers. So they operate, I think it's 3 King Air Beechcraft King Airs. So in layman's terms, they're a twin engine, relatively small aircraft. They're about 5.5 ton. Carry about 8 passengers, and they used it to shuttle their senior execs around to visit stores. Simpsons, they do the same.
That's mad.
When you have that many stores throughout the UK, or
Mhm.
even, you might have a manufacturing plant in Germany, I don't know, for example,
Mhm.
and you need to go and visit it. It's a lot easier, a lot more time and cost effective in the long
Mhm.
term for you to fly directly to that airport, go for your meeting, inspect your plant,
Mhm.
you know, whatever it is you're there to do, and then fly back and be able to go to work the next day. So yeah, complete just chance, to be
It's
honest.
mad.
And I'm so happy that I got into it.
Yeah.
I think I know that I will enjoy it, and I do enjoy it much more
Mhm.
than I would kind of commercial scheduled aviation
Yeah.
like everyone thinks.
I know, like, a lot of people, like, when they get the inception of, like, private aviation, they think of, like, for example, obviously, when I grew up in Scotland, lived in Scotland, like, Taylor Swift coming to Edinburgh and stuff like that, so it's quite interesting to see that, like, even Specsavers and Timpsons, where you go get your house keys cut, like, they've got this whole, like,
Yeah.
fleet of kinda getting about the country. A lot of people probably I know wouldn't think of that, and I wouldn't think of that. I would have thought it just got in a car and drove about the country to kinda get to me to be.
Mm.
Um, it's definitely something quite interesting, but I wanna talk about a little bit more about your going into your degree. So we've obviously got the kinda background of when you were young, you kinda went to Air Cadets, which is usually the one of two ways people go into aviation. The other one's their dad's sent into Glasgow Airport, which is kinda sad. Well, I say Glasgow Airport, obviously the circumstantial to where you are in the UK.
Yeah, yeah.
Not everyone just Glasgow's just a place
Just
and that's
walks
it.
up to Glasgow. Yeah.
Um, aye, and, or you end up going into, Air Cadets and stuff like that. But you've went in to be private pilot and glider pilot alongside your degree. I'm right in saying that, which is a lot of extra hours that for someone who still at the time was kind of figuring out their career as such that you knew you wanted to go to aviation, but you weren't quite sure what. And as we kind of just discussed, you've fallen into the private sector, if you will.
Yeah.
What told you it was worth investing in before you kind of had any proof that all this was actually going to kind of pay off?
I didn't, to be honest. I obviously knew that I had a bit more experience with flying, and not the best pilot, but I took to it quite well.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I just really enjoyed it. So I knew that I wanted a career that wasn't necessarily just kind of sat at a desk just doing a day job. I know that's
Yeah.
really cliche to say nowadays. Everyone kind of says that, but I just, yeah, I just thought that I really enjoy this as a topic. So
Mm-hmm.
doing a pilot's license can't it's not going to hinder me. I think it shows a considerable amount of kind of intuition on the part of people who have done it, because it's not easy. It takes dedication, and obviously there's a there's a cost aspect to it as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah, it's it was literally just my passion that I just really
Mm-hmm.
enjoyed it, and thought, just stick down that there's a big industry there. So
Mm-hmm.
one way or another, I'll find something to do in it.
I think definitely, like, I know a lot of people say, like, the old also you need to love what you do, which is, like, you need to love your job and stuff like that, are you gonna which is partially true, but obviously you need to kinda, like, when they say as well, follow your passions, it's like, you need to, you can obviously follow your passion, but on top of that, you need to actually make sure you actually enjoy it, which is
Mm.
obviously something that you've done, and you've kinda gone on to do something that's really quite, well, extraordinary. You've finished your degree, and you've jumped straight up, straight away into kinda managerial role within the space of 15 months, which is, like, for most companies, especially with,
Pretty
like, graduates, and
fast,
that's quite,
yeah.
yeah, that's very quick. So it's definitely something to be achieved about. So we kinda we get to the point where you're obviously in a management role and you finish uni. But part of the reason that kind of you appealed to me, sorry, as a guest was your ACA Person of the Year. But there's obviously a lot of work that goes in behind the scenes, which I think when you're building anything, whether it's going towards an award or you're building a business or like me, building a podcast on YouTube, there's a lot of work that kind of goes on behind. I want to talk about kind of that a wee bit. So getting to a point where an industry association recognizes you. Try to read, and honestly, try to read for me is not a strong point. I'm just stuttering my words. Young Person of the Year doesn't happen in one good year. What was the period kind of leading up to that before anyone outside like your immediate team kind of knew who you were? Because, like you said, you've moved up very quickly. So, kind of getting an award like that very quickly, there's obviously a lot of work that kind of went into that. So, what was the kind of maybe work that you had to get into that before you could kind of go for this award?
A lot of it was kind of working in industry, so attending the various different industry events that we have. So kind of throughout the year, ours or the events that I would attend start with the oh god, what is it? Can't remember the name. It's basically it's a networking event for young people in aviation. So it's just a good opportunity to go meet brokers, aircraft operators, people who are in different parts of the industry that we all work with each other, build
Mhm.
network, build connections, and you just kind of get to know people. And then from there, I became aware of the ACA's Next Generation group, and that's where I did a lot of the work, I would say.
Mhm.
So it was I so we attended quite a lot of the trade show. Well, so we did the Seaston Air Cadet Camp. So basically, it's a huge camp for air cadets, and we host a stand there for the day. The long and short of it is just turning up
Mhm.
and going to do extra work, making
Mhm.
yourself kind of visible in the industry, helping out, making yourself available, just doing
Mhm.
extra. I think I would always volunteer to go and host a show or go and do a talk at
Yeah.
my old uni, promote the internship, um,
Mhm.
just just going to do extra is really I think what it was. And yeah, so kind of how the whole process works is you're good. I was nominated by my company for the award, and
Mhm.
then how it works is the winner is selected by the chair of I think it was the chair of the Air Charter Association.
Yeah.
So, and then that's announced at the awards. Obviously, I've done quite a lot of work with the ACL, which most certainly helped. But yeah, it was just really just kind of attending events, being involved, being helpful where you can. Just
Mhm.
yeah, just being a good asset, really. I think.
Almost kind of like as long as you're kind of consistent.
I don't know. I think not. There was some consistency to it. Obviously, my first and foremost, my job comes first, so my
Yeah.
responsibilities here on base. But as in where I could, I would move days around.
Mhm.
So if I needed to go to an event, then I could. And obviously, all of those were just non-working days. So it's
Yeah.
bit of graft at times,
Mm.
but I also really enjoyed them, so I didn't really see them as work.
Yeah.
I've always kind of enjoyed the like when I used to do rugby coaching and kind of helping other people. I've been super
Mhm.
fortunate within this industry, and I just think that it's nice for other people to kind of have those same experiences that I did because I've enjoyed them. So why would other
Mhm.
people not?
So yeah, that's very true. In terms of obviously like even though you're doing all the like extracurricular stuff, you're still finding ways to show up within your own obviously your own role like you said comes first, which is obviously fair dues. Everyone's day job kind of comes first, again, much like myself and my role.
Yeah,
But then you're still going ahead and doing extracurricular stuff, which obviously has helped you kind of get the ball rolling, doing work obviously with doing stands at events and stuff like that, which I know most people on the weekends, where obviously I'm just presuming the weekends because normally events tend to be like Fridays,
Yeah.
Saturdays, Sundays, but would rather be like sitting in the pub with the pals, but you've actually kind of owned it as such and realized I want a little bit more here and there's something that I want to win. So you've obviously kind of went forwards with that and then you're finding basically ways to kind of not even level up like yourself towards that, but even level up maybe skill set. Like,
Yeah, definitely. I know that obviously it was quite a big jump for me to go from just a member of the ops team to running the ops team.
mhm,
Again, that was kind of a bit of a curveball. And my second week as the base
mhm,
manager here was for us Cheltenham races, which is our busiest week of the year.
mhm.
As I'm sure you can imagine, we get quite a lot of traffic during that week.
I've seen
Obviously, with
I-
our
I've seen the BBC episodes and it's just like a sea of people and you just
yeah,
like one of the biggest events of the year for that kind of part of part of the country, isn't it?
yeah, definitely. So I mean, it was trial by fire, quite
Mhm.
honestly. Obviously, I still have my operations team around. My role just
Yeah.
slightly changed. And then I found that I kind of got used to the role and kind of found my feet a little bit. You kind of have a better understanding of what your roles and responsibilities are after, you've made mistakes doing it. You kind of learn, right, okay,
Yeah.
well, I won't do that again. Um,
Mhm.
and then obviously getting better at that role just allowed me to have more free time to
Mhm.
attend events. Another part of my remit with there's a charity here at Gloucester Airport called Fly to Help. They
All right.
run what they call Air Smiles Days and Aim High Days. Their Air Smiles basically they get you know quite sadly young children who are critically terminally ill
Mhm.
and they do kind of trial flights here. They show them around the airport. They bring them airside. They visit all the different operators here, to kind of just have a good time. I feel like when you're
Yeah.
in that scenario,
Mhm.
pretty bleak and pretty terrible situation for
Yeah.
the family, being able to come out for a day and see a little boy, see a little girl,
Mhm.
climb up the seats to the steps to a private jet. um
Mhm.
I remember the times we had a NetJets Latitude in, and the crew was so lovely. They let them on board. They kind of got the gist of the reason why they were there. So yeah, helping them, and then helping their Aim High Days, which is basically
Yeah.
again helping young people get into aviation, who might not necessarily have those kind of opportunities.
Yeah.
Um,
So
yeah,
see the charity that does it down in Gloucester. Then I take it that's for kids where like obviously you said that are terminally ill and stuff like that. I take it they're like days that they do and like their fundraising and that they do their own fundraising as well to kind of allow. And obviously you guys do work with them as well.
yeah. They're really well known in our industry.
Mhm.
A lot of our events are sponsored. Well, there is always like a Flight to Help charity raffle, and
Mhm.
industry partners will donate prizes,
Mhm.
for example. So I can't remember who the operator was. One of them donated a like an empty leg flight. So an empty leg
All right.
is basically, say, if I've chartered the plane to go from here at Gloucester, going on holiday to Palma, for example,
Yeah.
the flight back, no one's paid for that. So it's basically sold at reduced cost. So
Mhm.
there was one of those events, or one of those prizes. You can really see the industry kind of digs in their pockets and goes,
Yeah.
we'll help here. So yeah, we raise as an industry quite a lot of money for them. Obviously, it's just an amazing cause, so
Mhm.
that's quite nice to see.
Yeah. What I'll do as well, just as a quick separate note, I'll pop the charities link in the show notes for this later on. So anyone who is watching and listening, if you would like to donate, obviously, really worthy cause. They're kind of taking me on to my next point that I kind of want to look into. So you obviously went ahead, you won ACA Person of the Year. You were nominated by Western Aviation and nominated you. You went ahead and won it. You're now on the other side of it. And when I've sat and obviously done my research, there's a lot of stuff I've sat and looked at, and I've learned quite a lot about how you've kind of done help, obviously breaking students into the industry as well. So running, as you've said earlier on, like sessions at your old university and running sessions at like other events. For somebody who was maybe sitting in the crowd, I'm thinking of Tim Cunningham as a 16-year-old sitting in that crowd. What do you think is something that you would want somebody who is maybe considering it, like if you were on the other side of it now, talking to that group of, well, 16, 17-year-olds, what's something that you think that you wish you knew when you were being spoken to, if you were in that situation, if the roles were reversed?
Ooh. I would say it's not unattainable. I would say that I feel like it's really easy to say that, oh, context. So I left college with a C and a D in my A levels in PE and psychology,
There's nothing wrong with a straight C student with PE.
and yeah, and left with two, and I
Mhm.
was like, hmm, uh, I can't get into the unis that I had places for because they were conditional offers. And I thought, right, well, yeah, no, I've kind of dropped the ball on this one a little bit.
Mhm.
Took a gap year, ended up having to do a foundation year my first year of uni, which, was punishment enough as itself because it's
Yeah.
pretty basic, I mean, made a couple board games and some lectures. So um, I think the opportunities are always there. You
Yeah.
just might not necessarily, they might just not be advertised. So, for example, we've had people come in to the hangar and be like, can we do work experience? Can we do this? Can we do that? And whilst we as a company can't provide it, we will always point you in the right direction. I'll
Yeah.
provide you as much, information about it as I can. It's just go contact operators, go show interest to people. People really like it when you show interest in something that they like, something that they do, or in a way that they can show you something almost a part of themselves.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to go and do that. And it's not easy, it takes a bit of confidence to walk into a business and go, hi, look, I'm Josh and or I'm Tim and I really want to
Yeah.
work in this industry. Like what can you tell me? Or how did you do it? What would you recommend? For when it's aviation, for example, there's Farnborough shows being on at the moment. See whatever you can do to try and go. Speak to people there.
Mhm.
It's a really big industry for kind of connections, and you literally never know. You never know. Someone might go, oh, actually, you might have be finishing. You're finishing your A levels, and you go right now. I want to go straight to aviation, for example, and then I go, oh, actually, you know what? I was hearing that this person's hiring, or we might be looking at taking someone on, or we can offer some work experience. You literally never know when an opportunity is going to come around the corner. You have to go and get them. They don't. They don't come to you. Um, be a bit lucky, for sure. I know that's kind of out of some people's. Well, obviously it's out of your control. But yeah, just it's kind of how I'd summarize it. Really, just
Think definitely it's almost as if the old saying, like, if you shoot 99% of the time and fail, you're still closer than not shooting 100% of the time because then you're guaranteed not to.
yep,
So, for example, like sending that email, phoning up like a company, going to open days. I know, like I've been to one initially when I kind of looked at what to be a pilot and that. When I had a bit of I wanted a career change and what I do in my day job, and I went to a BA event, and it's like I ended up meeting like one of the recruiters in that and stuff like that, and you get to kind of know people. So it's like always trying to take that shot, even if it's a no. Right, that's one no. Where's the next one? And more
mm,
kind of no's you get, eventually they're going to become yeses because you learn almost like this is what I need to do in this time. Then let's try this time, and this try this time, and oh, these emails aren't working because I'm not getting replies. Why don't I go down to the hangar like you're
yeah.
saying? Work experience, yeah.
I think yeah, opportunities come from opportunities. I think a really good example of
Yeah.
that is I recently this year joined the Honourable Company of Air Pilots. So it's quite an old organisation, and they basically like host events, and it's kind of like a pilot network in effect. Joined them, and then saw kind of 3 months later down the line, they'd offered a day with 101 Squadron from where was it? From Bryce, from RAF Bryce Norton.
Mhm.
And we got to go up in one of the Voyager A330 refueling aircraft, sat inside, and they air-to-air refueled 12 Typhoons
It's
whilst we're
mad.
watching it
Like,
out the window. All because I was at the Seaston event, saw a pilot of one of our industry operators, went over, said hello, had a chat, saw he did this organisation, and thought, yeah, I'll be a part of that. Something could come of it. And then
yeah.
paid £25 to go up and fly out of Bryce Norton and watch Typhoons get refueled. You just, you never know when the next opportunity is
Mhm.
going to come around the corner.
It's like, I think there's a lot of that, and I know within today's kind of world in 2026. Yeah, five
That
times.
one.
I keep putting 2025 on dates. Like I'm filling stuff in. I keep putting. I don't know why. I'm like just not accept that I've turned 25 this year. I'm just like not accepting it. I think a lot of it is like a lot of people think a lot of stuff's handed to them, kind of, especially in the kind of day of like everyone's kind of on their phones. They just see this and they go, "Oh, that's not for me." So I definitely think, like you kind of said, going into making sure they go out chasing opportunity, because had you not went to that original event, then you then wouldn't be and that
Yeah,
then you never know in 4 months' time, somebody within that organisation could go on to do something else. And then they could say, look, there was somebody I worked with called Tim Cunningham, and I want to headhunt him because do you know what I mean? It's almost like a stacking effect.
yeah. What? Yeah, that is the perfect summation of kind of
Mm-hmm.
what I would say, and it's definitely my experience.
Mm-hmm.
Opportunities create opportunities. You just got to go and do it. I feel like nowadays there are a lot of people who are too afraid to go and do it, or they think, oh, what's the point? Nothing will come from it. Um, you miss 100% of the opportunities you don't take.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of
Do
how
you
I've
think
had a
everything?
lot. Or well, everything that I've done has basically just come from just try, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
Yeah, go on to the next thing. I think what you've shared has been really, really insightful, and I think I want to kind of obviously you've done a lot, especially within 15 months. You're now in a managerial role within your company, and you've obviously spent a lot of time in aviation. I think the big question is now, from winning ACA to doing everything you're doing, what comes next? Where do you kind of maybe want to see yourself within 3, 5 years? Which is obviously a long time away because 5 years away is 2031.
Yeah, I'll be
So
30.
yeah, same
Yeah.
as me. So what does that look like for Tim Cunningham in 5 years?
I don't know. For me, obviously, becoming a pilot has always been my aspiration.
Mhm.
Um, as I'm sure everyone knows, nowadays you're paying 110 plus £110,000 to complete your full pilot training.
So expensive
So
for
obviously
a
it's
lot of people.
expensive. So that's a limitation for me for sure. As I'm sure it is for, most aspiring pilots. So I know that my end goal, I will always want to be a pilot, but something that the idea I've come around to more so since I've joined here is I've got what, 40 years of a career left.
Yeah.
Piloting's always going to be there. So I'm not necessarily in a huge rush to
Yeah.
get there because I'm still around aviation. I'm still learning new parts of it. So I don't know, to be honest. I really enjoy what I do. Obviously, Gloucester is a smaller regional airport. So for me, kind of the natural progression is hopefully within my company, move to one of our larger bases and kind of get that
Mhm.
experience. There's always new challenges that come to going to different airports. Different airports have different rules, different types of aircraft. I don't have any experience with an aircraft that needs steps, for example.
Yeah.
It's just a small one. So I like to get that. But I think really from then it's kind of progressing more into like a project management, business development type role, kind of a little bit
Yeah.
more autonomous, where I have, set targets or set tasks or an end goal, and you know, I need to kind of formulate a plan or get there
Yeah.
myself. I've always loved the idea of like setting up a new FBO, for example,
Hmm.
or you know, um, just just going to try something new. I think because I don't know. I know that I'm the type of person that always likes doing new tasks.
Yeah.
I don't, not that I don't cope very well, but I'm not as skilled at kind of when tasks get a bit boring. I do find kind of self motivation more challenging. So yeah, stay within private aviation, one
Yeah.
hundred percent. Going to an aircraft operator would be really cool. Kind of see like the AOC or air operation side. I know that I'd quite like to develop my skills in kind of like the commercial sales side. Kind of, I by the kind of, I don't know how many years I want to try kind of set up my own aviation company in whatever that may be. And I've been really fortunate within kind of my company that, well, not my company, but the company where I
Yeah.
work, that our CEO Nick is, obviously an extremely successful entrepreneur, and
Mm.
he's been really great at kind of showing me and kind of teaching me like what he's done in his knowledge, to kind of go one day start an aviation company of my own in
Yeah.
whatever facet that will be. Very, very rarely do I see a passenger or a customer of ours come through our hangar that doesn't own, run, or do kind of something for themselves. I think
Yeah.
if you kind of want to own your own aircraft, whether even that might be a Cirrus to you know a large Gulfstream.
Yeah.
I don't think you really get there necessarily by working at another company.
Hmm.
You start something of your own. But I'm really open, to be honest. If I enjoy it,
Yeah.
then I'll do it for a bit. Progress myself, work really hard in the role, get as much out of it as you can, and move on. Because you know, however many years down the line, when I have children, I know that I'm not going to have that type of energy or focus
Yeah.
to really be, you know, putting in 60,
Putting
70 hours
reps.
a week to when, you've got to come home and you have other responsibilities, which
Yeah.
I don't have right now. So who
Yeah.
knows?
Either
Just
way,
going to go
I
on.
think every. Oh, sorry, I was going to say. Either way, I think everything you're kind of working towards, with obviously the skill sets you've built and everything you worked towards, and the awards you've won and everything. I think it'll be quite nice to watch, obviously, for other people. And just to kind of finish off the show, if people want to continue following your journey and what you're doing, where can they find you?
Oh, LinkedIn, I would say Tim Cunningham on LinkedIn.
Hmm.
I kind of try and keep my social media somewhat
Yeah.
private in that sense, just because, it's try and keep that separation between who you are professionally and, your personal life. I think you see it all too often where someone's done something and they've slipped up
Hmm.
and it's just like thrown a spanner in their works with their career.
Yeah.
So yeah, LinkedIn, I would say, yeah.
Yeah, perfect. What I'll do then is I'll attach your LinkedIn profile in the show notes below, as well as the charity as discussed. Again, really good cause. If you choose to wish to donate, so again, really good cause, helping obviously kids with terminal illnesses, kind of getting through something
Definitely.
that is like
Yeah.
every kid's dream, which is usually one of the three: fire engines, train drivers, and pilots. So,
Yeah. Well, yeah, 100%. Yeah, it
yeah,
was really nice to see when little girl called Hannah, who was quite ill, just her and her family just being
mhm,
shown this private jet, dreaming ear to ear. I'm sure that was kind
mhm,
of a very special moment for them. It was really lovely to see.
But yeah, I'll attach that in the show notes. Thank you really for today, Tim. Really good episode, and I hope to speak to you again very soon.
Amazing. Thanks so much, Josh.